So, um, I want to summarize regarding retirement planning, which a lot of it you cannot really plan because you have unexpected incidents. For instance, in Israel, we're in war, and you have a lot of if you're a disadvantaged population, you might get into a situation where robbery happens, pig butchering, for instance, like scams on the internet and stuff like that. So this is a case. It's an ongoing case with adopted brothers. One of them is Muslim and has a criminal background. And I just want to cover some legal paragraphs, and also which also some of them have implications to financial structures. So, for instance, people who come from the USA, a lot of them use fiduciaries because when you invest outside of the USA and you're still resident who needs to report to the IRS, you cannot invest in a should invest in America, USA first. So you have all kinds of implication for that, and you use a fiduciary or trust. It's common for wealthy people also to skip inheritance law in America, which can be very high. So you use these financial tools. In Israel, it has a different implication in some areas, and you have also another instrument which has similarities, but it's not the same term. It's a guardianship, which it should take care of disadvantaged populations and their benefits, so they will live in a wealthy or secured life financially without, personal interest. You have to be very. So these are the tools I'm talking about, the financial, not tools, or tools, but the structures, legal structures. I just want to cover some of the paragraphs law that are mentioned in this court case. I'm keeping it confidential, but I'm just, doing the implication. First of all, murder. Okay, there was alleged murder of someone, of an elderly person. The definition in the Israeli law, which is based on the English old law, murder definition causing the death of a person intentionally or as an indifference. So the claim in this case is that the elderly woman, there was, did they try to poison her? I mean, the criminal tried to poison her. He's adopted. He's adopted by, he tried to poison her with negligence, but it always happens to him. He has all kinds of poison, very easy to get very awful prescriptions today. Like, try to put opiates on her. And they also, with the negligence, he actually insisted of her falling from stairs after a hip replacement. So the claim was that, and once she was paralyzed and actually it was completely muted. I mean, the neurologist said that she has ALS, but it might be that she was drugged with anti-dopamine, where you become really mute and with dystrophy and awful stuff. But the neurologist, they said, a couple of days after he signed her, the criminal signed her on an ongoing power of attorney, which is supposed to take care of her. But he signed her to expel her from her home, to liquidate her assets. Awful. So the claim later on was aggravated murder. The definition: murder committed to cover up another crime, facilitate a crime, or escape a prosecution. So the plaintiff argued that The death was part of an attempt to conceal financial crimes, including theft of state assets. He took over, he and another brother took, which was a banker, took over other real estate that she had, that used to be an income of rent for half 20 years. And they made it, some kind of only for them, and not even the mother. So we're going over in chapter 11 of the penalty. So this is from the penalty law, murder, aggravated murder, and then we're going into chapter 11 of the penalty law, which is theft and robbery. And strictly we're dealing with 386 and 388. 386, 388, which, said that if you need to guard money, so the banker was guarding money or deposit, and he allegedly was supposed to create a trust for his sister. And the sister didn't know about it. From the inheritance, he was allegedly create a trust for the sister. And even negligence in running this money, although they completely took the money and renovated their houses, and which was supposed to be a trust, but even negligence, not having bookkeeping and stuff like that makes it a criminal under the penalty law. Strictly, it's under the strict liability. Anyway, the brothers allegedly stole over 6 million shekels from the bank account, and so on. And then we're going into, this is very, very, it concerns disabled, disadvantaged population that were supposed to be, taken care of, safety. So if you're doing an ongoing power of attorney, which is, a person feels disabled and wants someone else to run his finance on a basis of good faith and all that. So you should not, oppress, coerce, rob from that person, which goes into paragraph 431 in the penalty law. Exploitation of a vulnerable person. The definition, this is an old law. Taking advantage of someone's physical or mentally weakness or distress, punishable up to 3 years in prison. So the claim was that the brothers manipulated the mother while she was mute and paralyzed to sign complex legal documents, that she actually didn't even speak Hebrew. And they also said to court that she initiated these documents. It's an ongoing case. Okay, so now we're going into this law, which is the guardianship law that is supposed to take care of elderly, disabled, or disadvantaged populations. Section 47 regards duties of the guardianship, act in best interest for the person, for the benefit. It's also like in the trust, you're supposed to act in the best interest for the beneficiary. Okay, so it has some kind of parallel. Report to court, welfare, and so on and so forth. 32 say, renewing power of attorney, Amendment 2016. This is the regulation. It's a new regulation. Okay, so it's the 67 laws and stuff like that. It's a new regulation regarding the guardianship. Competent adult can appoint someone in advance to act in their behalf in the future. Should they be in incapacity, this power must be granted in front of an authorized attorney. Okay. I won't go into this theory of 204, say drunkenness, criminal responsibility. So the elder is something like a functioning drunk. Every weekend he gets drunk, might have, problem with his frontal cortex of organizing his acts. But there's another claim against their lawyer because their lawyer was organizing it. The lawyer was sending them to be violence towards the sister, to attack the sister, to drag her from the home because they, so they were supposed to make a trust to a sister, but they were also in the meanwhile beating her up and trying to expel from the home that she was living 20 years there, and the mother gave her. Okay, now another financial, it's not only a concept, but rather it has a, implication, as I said, the trust law in Israel, that they regards a lot of it regards non-profit organizations. But anyway, Section 5, good faith. Section 6, complying with the trust terms. Okay, for instance, the trust is supposed to enhance or at least preserve and enhance the capital and the financial fruits deriving from it. So you cannot, withdraw. No, neither can you withdraw in advance while you know that that's your, you cannot take advantage for it for your benefit. And you cannot claim, oh, we're needy families, so we took from that money and we're concealing and hiding because they said, oh, both of the brothers are needy families. They're not, by the way. Not in any way, at least the lexicon of the Israeli law, but they're just big spenders for themselves. But you cannot say, oh, we have children, we need the money. We took the money because we're needy families. You're not supposed to. You have strict liability. You took it on yourself, and they insisted on making it. It's not. Section 5, duty of law over trust, Section accounting obligation. So a trustee must maintain accurate financial records, and you have the strict liability. And now we're going into inheritance law, the Section 115. So they got to real estate from the financial, first capital. To have very luxurious houses. Then when the mother was dying, they took over another real estate, like a vacation resort for themselves. And on the way, they were trying to expel the sister, the banker and the criminal, trying to expel the sister from the home that, it was a home, mutual residential for 20 years, it's a big home. The mother said, come live with me. I'm giving you one level from a 4-level villa that I have, a mansion that I have. You get a one level. So they were trying to expel her. And they also said, it's legal to expel her, which is not, because you have a paragraph 115 of the inheritance law, which is a very interesting paragraph. It says as follows. Right to reside. A resident heir has the right to remain in the deceased home. I'm making the full quotation from it. If a person lived with the deceased in their home close to the time of the death of, does not own a home, and it's not a quotation. I think it's a summary, and he has no way, other property. Hold any other residential. The court may, upon the request, order that a family member deceased who lived with them stated shall be entitled to continue in residence in the home. I guess, since the person also helps out with you, in this case, the parents were terminally ill, and the sister lived with the parents and helped them out, and volunteered maintenance and financial help, and they were both, they couldn't speak, their Hebrew wasn't really, they didn't write in Hebrew. And their ability to read wasn't that good. So she helped out, administratively and so on and so forth. So I guess this can protect the person that helps out. But a relative, it can't be, your Philippine that you gave it, but a relative. Okay. So this sister lived for many years, 20 years. It was intended for her use. And their brother stepped in to evict her violently, by violent, and then later on they claimed to the court. Legal capacity and a guardianship law occur. So real estate property law. And what was their reason that they submitted to court that she should be expelled from her home? She doesn't give us, joint use, which was very funny because the villa has 4 levels, and they were, persecuting her in her area, beating her up in her area. Which joint use do you want? I mean, murder is not covered in joint. It's paragraph 30 of the law. And you have, residential homes. You have you're violent. It's a known fact, or you are having an argument regarding that. You beat her up. You know, oh, this is very interesting because there's some kind of, with the lawyer, some kind of an anti-Zionist cult, but really anti-Zionist of thieves. I mean, I discovered this thing of non-profit organizations where a rabbi puts in his pocket and doesn't give you a receipt, and it's not Messianist, and it's not, regulated by the state. And the brother and the lawyer are together in this cult. How is it relevant? Joint use. Can't remember. Oh yeah, all this interpretation is a very strange interpretation, I mean, as if you can steal and so on and so forth. Anti-Zionist. So they gave it, and so strange because they gave an example at the wartime. It was during the war, they were attacking her. She's Jewish. They were attacking her, and she was working with the evacuated people at the time. And anyway, the soldiers, Israeli soldiers, had a real rough time, really hard time. And she offered some soldiers, because it's on a resort and so on, a very nice area, very calm area, on their vacation on a weekend, come and they have a relax and sleep over in the 4th level. Give it up. And the banker complained that it doesn't enable them joint use. I mean, that he's preferable putting her in a risk, really against the regulation of, not only the regulation, it was a risk. It was bombardment and stuff like that. It was running after her. She couldn't go into the shelter, the bomb shelter. And also he was complaining why a soldier is resting there, and a Israeli soldier, one of our troops, in court. I mean, that's an anti-Zionist thing. I mean, these people, a unit of his thing, went out, and these people need a bit of refreshment. They don't have time. Anyway, so right of ownership, section 15, protection of possession and use. Okay, so you cannot, this is very interesting. The ownership grants the owner, so they are owners. It's not as if they're not owners. But you cannot sabotage a person or your grounds. That's not the term. Ownership grants the owner of real estate the right of possession and use it without interference from others, and any person who fears an infringement of their right may protect their rights by any legal means. Okay, so this is self-protection, the real estate law, but no, this is the one. Section 14, right of ownership, is the right to possess the estate, to use it, to derive benefits from it, and to perform any legal transaction in relation. I can't remember. There's a special paragraph in the law that says you cannot harm. You cannot harm the land or the owner and the mutual owner. This is transaction in there. Okay. Additional legal references, strict liability. It's very relevant to trust, very relevant to guardianship, victim compensation. So you can get a civil, you can, I think you're allowed to do a civil suit without a criminal conviction. Okay, that's it.